Do you know what? I ain't had a glass of Pepsi in absolutely forever. Just not. Clearly, that does not like me. What's happening, guys? Dan Debenham here. Today we're going to look at visual effects, specifically this one. Effectively, these visual effects, so simple to do, but they do add that little bit of icing to the top of your project. They just help sell stuff and help sell it to the viewer that what's happening is actually happening and is they're part of what's actually happening. And this one's a really easy one to do. It's really quick and really simple, but massively effective at the same time. It just adds a bit of polish. Adds a little bit more. It's that step further than just doing the action. It just gives it that bit more to it. So let's dive into Premiere Pro and let's have a look and see how we do it. Okay, so now that we've got our clip in place on our timeline, we've got our music and what have you, we just need to run through it just to see whereabouts roughly we're going to put our visual effects. So let's do that now. Okay, so we're going to leave it there where this music drops off, so let's go back to the beginning. What we need to do now is marker it out so we've got a rough idea of where things are going to go. From that point on, then what we can do is we can adjust them just so that they're in the right places, and we can then start building this visual effect. So what I'm going to do is hit M on my keyboard, I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to hit M on my keyboard, and that's going to place a marker in the timeline here. It's not going to place it on here because I've got nothing selected, so I've not selected either of those two clips. I've just deselected everything so that the markers come across the top. So here we go. Okay, so we've got roughly where we think we are with those. Let's just check these two. So we know we only need one of those because there's only one thing there, so let's clear that selected marker. So we right click and clear that. What we're going to do is just going to zoom in slightly so that we can see where we are. We're going to put our playhead where the thing is, the beat is. Grab the marker, so we put our playhead there, grab the marker, drag it into place. And then we come across here. We know that's roughly where it wants to be, so we're going to move our marker in place there again. Let's listen to this bit. Seems alright. Now that wants to be a bit further down, so it wants to be here. So we're going to move this over. We're going to come to these here now. We're going to zoom in a little bit further so we can see what we're doing with these ones. So let's have a look. So this one really wants to be a few over, wants to be a frame over. This one's about right. Maybe we'll leave that one where it is. That one's fine.
and that one's a bit early, so maybe we move the marker to there. What we'll do then is we'll come out to this one, zoom back in again so we can see. I think it's probably a couple of frames early. Same with this one. I'd say, yeah, I'd say it's definitely a frame early, frame or two early, and that one's probably a tiny bit late. Okay, so we've got them all in place, we're all sorted, and we know where we are now. So we've got everything we need to do done. What we need now to do is come down to our project bin, go to the new item and then adjustment layer. We're going to leave the settings exactly the same, click OK, and then we're going to grab our adjustment layer, drag it onto the timeline above the video and the audio. Drag it out so it just goes past the markers, and that's just to give us a bit of space so that we know what we're working with. And then what we're going to do is come to effects, and we're going to type tell you what, let's go to effects and type Gaussian blur. Now for those of you who want to find it manually, you can find it under video effects and blur and sharpen. You just drag and drop it onto the adjustment layer, and then you'll see up here in your effects controls, you'll see Gaussian blur appear at the bottom. So we're going to go to blurriness, we're going to type in a number that we want, whatever you want it to look like, play around with that and see what you want it to be like, blurrier or less blurry. And you may obviously, when you play it back, need to change it to either just horizontal or just vertical, and maybe reduce it. It all depends on your clip. For me, this one I find 30 works pretty well. So I'm going to now click on the first, I'm going to click on the timeline and then click on the first marker. That's going to bring us to the beginning of the clip, to where we want to be. I'm going to hit C on my keyboard for the razor tool. You can of course get these from the toolbar. The two tools we're going to use today are the razor tool and the selection tool. So I'm going to click for the first one there. I'm then going to zoom in even further, and I'm going to hit the right arrow key, and I'm going to razor again and again and again and again. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We want one more, so we want 5 in total. I'm then going to hit V on the keyboard or get the selection tool, select everything forward of the first razor and hit delete it, and everything aft of the last razor and delete it. So we've ended up with these 5 individual little adjustment layers. I'm going to select adjustment layer number, clip number 2, get rid of that, and adjustment layer clip number 4 and get rid of that. So we've got 1, 3 and 5. So once we've done that, I can zoom out slightly so I can see a bit more. Click on the next markup, and I'm going to select these 3 clips, hold down Alt, grab them, drag them and drop them, and I'm just going to repeat that throughout the whole process of where we want this visual effect to actually occur. You can see that it's not blurred and then blurred as I drag it over. Grab, Alt, drag, click on it, grab, Alt, drag. I'm going to miss those out for the moment. I'm going to click on that one and I'm going to drag those to there. Of course, if you don't want to drag, you don't want to do that, you can of course click off them, and if you just move it about, you'll see a black line appears, which is basically where the playhead should be. And then what we can do is grab, Alt, drag on those ones, and we're at the end. So what we need to do is just do these 4. So I'm going to click on this first one. I'm going to come in here like this. Nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come in here, drag, Alt and drop like so, and I'm going to zoom in a bit further so we can see where we are. Now if I click on this second marker here, you can see that it ends where this last blur of the adjustment layer finishes. We don't want it to continue blurring, so we're going to miss it out and jump to this one. So let's marker there and move it across. Again, that happens again, so we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to miss those 2 out altogether, so we don't actually need those 2 markers. We'll leave them in place though, just in case we need to make any other further adjustments. So we'll go back to the beginning of the playhead now, and then we can play through and we can see exactly what this effect has achieved.
So as you can see, I used it at the beginning of this video when I had the glass of Coke and what have you, that nearly killed me. It can be used for a multitude of different things. It doesn't necessarily have to be for music. It can be for actions, it can be just for sounds, it can be for anything really. Special effects, you can use it on special effects. You can use it on music as well. It can be used in a multitude of different things. It can be used for Instagram and all that kind of stuff, just to add that little bit more, just a tiny bit more. So I hope you did find it useful. I hope this brought something to your project, and with that I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.